Hi everyone. Like we said, it's been an incredible 10 years and we are so happy because not only are we rejoicing and celebrating what God has done, we feel like it's an opportunity for us to share our learnings with other couples as well, to help them have a really blissful marriage. So as always and ever, I've got my wonderful sweetheart here.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be talking about what we've learned about intimacy and sex. Now, this is something that, a lot of couples
shy away from. They don't even want to discuss it at all.
And but like we also have we had to learn this. Like it's not like we came into marriage and every time we just felt like there was a need to be intimate and stuff. So that tell me, like, what are your learnings? Just share a little bit.
So, for intimacy, I would say that spending a lot of time together helps to build intimacy. Because at times, my husband knows whenever I go out, it's like we prioritize. We have like, okay, is there going to be show tonight? So we know already. It's not just like it's going to come and just say, oh yeah, sweetheart. It would have watered the ground even before any show starts. So I think couples, we need to be deliberate because it takes effort. Lagos. You know the way Lagos is now. You go to work from morning to night. You come back home tired. You don't even have the energy for anything. But if you are determined in your mind, in your heart, that today I'm going to satisfy my husband, today I'm going to please him, you will find it easier to do. So
no, and I agree with you. I think that I think one of the things that you said that's very instrumental and important is that sex is an emotional thing. It's not just a physical thing.
Yeah.
And it's for us men, who for a majority of men have a higher sexual libido, than their wives. A higher sexual libido than their wives. We have to maybe do the work to help our wives get into the mood, of sex. And I like what you said. One of the things you said is like, us, like actually some of the time setting an appointment and saying, tonight, we're gonna, tonight we're going to have, no, exactly, we're going to be intimate and we're going to enjoy ourselves, as a married couple. And I think that that's something that we cannot just discount how important it is in marriage. Yeah. One other thing that I remember that we did, is we actually set boundaries. Like we said, we're going to spend weekends together. So I remember that, like, I would always travel out of the country and
you're back on Friday, no matter where in the world.
That I went. In fact, people used to make fun of me a lot in the early days. I'm like, oh, it's because you're just married. It's just because you're just married. You're gonna get tired of it. But even till today, I still I can go all the way to China. I would spend more time in the air than I would spend in the country, and I would still try to make it back home for the weekend. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember, any time where I wouldn't arrive at least on a Saturday to make sure that I spend time with you.
With me, and I appreciate. Thank you.
No, but I think there's some things that you did as well. There's some sacrifices that you made to be able to spend time with me as well on the weekends. Maybe you want to share some of those sacrifices.
Yeah, you say that most people that know me, they know that I don't go out on weekends, except for emergencies, or maybe I have like a family function I can't refuse, or a friend's party. Most weekend I don't even take orders on weekend. Weekend is family time for us. We don't go anywhere. Saturday we are at home all through, bonding, enjoying ourselves, sleeping. I like to sleep a lot, by the way. So I just prioritize my weekend. That weekend is for my husband and my children. No other thing comes except for some parties I can't refuse.
No, and I remember that, like even with business, like when we wanted to start a business, we were always very conscious of, what we talked about in the previous videos. We talked about like, vision. Yeah. Like we see ourselves spending time together. We always say that what you chase the most in marriage is the reason why you got married. So if you're a husband and all that you're chasing is sex, then you just got married because you wanted a sexual partner. If you're a wife and all you're chasing is money, then you just got married because you need a benefactor. But what we try to chase is because she knows that there's money there. No, but I think it's not about not. I mean, we do chase. I mean, as a man, you do feel like you want more sexual fulfillment. As a woman, you do feel like you want your husband to be able to provide for you. But I think what we make sure that we put above that is, spending time together to bond and to be intimate. And that goes from anything from like we watch movies together. I remember that I'm not like particular about watching like local movies, but I do it because you want to do it. And you also do some things. What are the things that you do?
Hey, football. I love football. I love football.
Yes, and I think that's something that's great because like you watch the matches with me, like when I'm watching the match, you're asking, oh, this person has transferred. Like sometimes you make me, I'm surprised how did you know that? How did you know that? But it's just because I think we spend a lot of time enjoying what the other person enjoys to do. And I think that's something that's, really critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you talked about like making sure that men or husbands, not just anyone, husband and wife now, a husband gets his wife into the mood for sex. Now, what are some of the things that you've learned that maybe as men, and I'm learning now, maybe things I'm going to do better in this next 10 years. Things that can help, us or that have helped us
over the years.
Get you better prepared, for that very important marriage responsibility of sexual fulfillment.
Okay, I'll say that for me, a little bit of touch, a little bit of kiss, a little bit of act of kindness. Help your wife in the kitchen. Don't let her do all the work. So that at least when you've helped her, you carry her upstairs you carry her into the room is way easier than you just coming to jump on her for sex. It's not, the body is not, they'll say that the body not be firewood. How did they say? So you have to have watered the ground a little bit. Women, most women, they like a bit of touch, kissing. But men at times, they're always in a hurry. They just want to do like the main thing and just... But women, we like some tender loving, some TLC, So I think it makes it easier for the lady. It makes it easier for the lady during sex to... Her body is well prepared. The hustling and bustling of Lagos... Most times, I work a lot. Some people even ask me that, your husband even enjoying you with all this hard work you're doing. But we prioritize it. We set a calendar. Most times, at times, it can be spontaneous too. We don't even plan it. But most times, especially when I know that, this week I've been busy, or I know that I have to create time. I have to spend time with my husband. We have to be intimate, be deliberate. I must tell you, it's hard work. It's hard work, but you have to put in the effort.
No, but I think you're absolutely right. Like we said in a previous episode around, we have to be intentional, in our marriage. And a lot of the time, it's not about how you feel, because feelings can be deceptive. You could say, for example, I just don't feel like putting in the work. I don't feel like spending time with my wife in the kitchen. Or I don't feel like sending her a nice message during the day. I don't feel like sending her a voice note just to remind her how beautiful she is. It's work. Like if you think about all those things, you're like, but I did it when I was cutting. Why do I have to do it now when I'm married? Even more so now, right? So that you see that those are things that we need to do. I think particularly for the men. I think for me, I always say like, I'm not the best cook, but I'm the best kitchen assistant. Like I can do it. Like I'm the best kitchen assistant. So I'm always very uncomfortable when,
I have to do all the work.
Where you're like kind of like doing all the work. And I know that men are different and we were brought up differently. But the most important thing is that we have to do things with our wives, things that they find stressful. If we are going to prepare them, for sexual,
for what is to happen.
Exactly, for sexual intimacy. And I think that's something that I personally,
constantly make effort.
Constantly make effort. It's not always something that comes naturally. But I think what's great so that is that the more you do these things, the
Easier it becomes.
the easier they become.
For both parties.
Exactly, for both parties. Even the act of the sexual intimacy
Itself.
itself, you might go in and say, I don't feel like having sex today, but then you've prepared, or you feel like, I'm committed to my spouse to, what's the word now? I'm committed to pleasing my spouse. And then you find that, we just like talking through it, you find that you get into
the mood.
Into the mood. But all of this is like, it only works where everything else is, kind of like, I'm not perfect, but when there's a good relationship. A lot of the things we've talked about in the previous episodes, I think, are important for there to be a great sexual intimacy, and not just sexual intimacy, but general intimacy as well. I think in the home. So that I always talk about sharing thoughts and feelings. Do you remember what I say when we talk about intimacy and I talk about sharing your thoughts and your feelings? So I always talk about like that as a man. One of the ways that I try to become intimate with you is not only sharing what I am thinking, but also sharing how I am feeling.
What you're feeling.
Because I feel like, and I'm always asking you as well, like, so how you feeling? Because I feel like intimacy is when we are connected on the level of feeling, not just thinking. And that's something that doesn't come naturally to men. There are times where I will call you and I'll be like, so that, I'm scared. I'm actually scared, and I tell you what I'm scared about. Even recently, I think
2 days ago.
I still shared with you, like, there's something that I was just a little, afraid of, and then I prayed about it, and then I felt like a release, of peace. So I think that's something that's very important as well. If a couple are to be intimate, is that they share their thoughts and
their feelings
as well.
And in conclusion, I want to say that sex is like the oil. Just like an engine needs oil, sex is like the oil of marriage. It keeps it going. Without sex, I must tell you, let's not deceive each other. Let's not deceive anybody here. Sex is like the oil that keeps the marriage going. Without sex, I can't say what will happen to that marriage.
It's impossible. It's impossible, for a marriage to really work. Without the power of intimacy, both emotionally and on a physical level as well.